Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. I am Brenda Rogers, candidate for Kane County Recorder of Deeds. As your next Recorder of Deeds, I will protect our taxpayers' investment, bring awareness to the position, and do outreach to our residents and veterans. I am asking for your vote during early voting, mail-in ballot, or on November 3rd. Vote for Brenda Rogers, Kane County Recorder of Deeds, paid for by Citizens for Brenda Rogers.
Accountability in government is not a nice to have, it's a must have. That's why I'm voting for Tracy Miller for Kane County Board, District 4. As a mother and businesswoman, she understands the middle class. She's fighting to keep property taxes from going up and to keep us, the citizens, informed of what's taking place. I want a voice in county government that listens to me. That's why I'm voting Tracy Miller on November 3rd for Kane County Board, District 4. Paid for by Friends of Tracy Miller.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. You are listening to and watching the greatest morning show on earth. And we are here with a friend of the show, a guest, our state representative of the 83rd District, Barbara Hernandez. All right, got a great interview coming up. And before we get to that interview, we have news and weather and some topics to talk to you guys about. We hope that you had a safe, blessed, and fun weekend. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. And now, the news.
The news, Sugar Skull City, it's still going on. We were talking about that. A month-long celebration going on Aurora downtown. Shout out to all the local artists and businesses who have contributed to this celebration in downtown Aurora. Take a drive around downtown and check out all the storefront windows, or mask up and do some dining and shopping. Sugar Skull City promotion and activities will run from October 15th through November 15th. Artists, community members, youth, and families are invited to honor the Mexican tradition of Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. Community members are invited to experience this throughout downtown Aurora during this month as a crowd-free activity. Good morning, Aurora Sports. We were just kind of laughing and joking about that earlier.
Because I don't know sports. That's all right. That's all good.
I can tell Curtis anything about sports, and he just kind of nods his head. The World Series is set, though. This just means that it's now decided between two teams that are going to be in there. It's going to be the Tampa Bay Rays against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Game 1 is on Tuesday night. And the Bears are in first place. Now, that's true. They are in first place. They beat the Panthers yesterday 24-16, and then they play the Rams on Monday. Next Monday, not tonight. And then Green Bay is no longer undefeated. They lost yesterday, if you're a Packers fan. It was pretty ugly, 38-10. So we kind of watched that, turn that off.
Damn, 38-10.
Ouch.
Wow.
So that's all that's happening in my news and sports. What's going on?
All right, the weather. It's now 39 degrees outside. The high today is going to be 46 degrees. That looks like it'll be reached at about 1 p.m. At about 3 p.m., there's a 50% chance of rain. And you know how we do on this show. We hope that it's a nice, rainy, super rainy, thunderstormy, cloudy day. Get some Earl Grey tea, a little slice of lemon, relax at home, get your soul at ease. That's what the storms are for. Anyway, I digress. Now, the rest of the week is going to be rainy as well. It's going to be a rainy, cloudy, 55 degree, 61 degree, 79 degree with a 40% chance of rain. So that sounds like super muggy that day. But that's what the weather is looking like. And in addition to the weather being gloomy, it was also very windy. So if you've got signs out there, go check on your signs. Go check on your yard signs. Put them up, get them right. Because mine, when I came outside, were blown over like corn stalks drooping after a heavy tornado. Anyway, in the news, there's a lot of good stuff going on. In addition to the Sugar Skull City, Pierre Lucero was featured for another one of his great works, which was on the Artisan Loft building on Stope Avenue. So if you guys saw that, that was very cool. It's nice. It's
That's
really
on
nice.
Society 57.
No, he's got one on Stope too.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, he got a bunch. You know, there you go, right there.
We talked about it, last week. Yeah, it was on ABC 7. I think?
Exactly. Yep.
Very cool.
So that was really cool. And also, we want to say that there's still Breast Cancer Awareness and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So 2 great organizations that you can donate to are Mutual Ground and also Healing to Healthy with Susan Romano and Amy Downing. 2 very good initiatives. So please take part in that. Also, our friends, the Alaka Arlen Band, were playing. The name of the city escapes me, but I Googled it. It wasn't a lot of people in this town, but they rocked it out. You know, go check the gram. Alaka Arlen Band, underscores in between Alaka and Arlen. Really cool show, really good stuff. Chocolate in My Pocket, I think has their new album about to drop. If you check out our Music Fridays, you know who we're talking about. Great bands, and it's really cool to see these bands come up and do really good things. Also, the Women's March was on Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday in Oswego. That was Oswego, correct? Yeah. Well-traveled, a lot of good picks from the event. That was very positive, so good to see. Good to see so many people out there taking part. Have you voted yet? If you have not, you know that it's your duty to do so, so please rush out there, get your vote on. Early voting is still taking place, and it's still happening in downtown Aurora, and that's going on at the Kane County Clerk Government Building on Downer, right next door to the GAR building, and across the street from Charlie's Creamery. So, with that being said, what's up?
I don't know. Just tell them the audio's gonna be off for like 2 seconds.
Okay, so look, so check this out, you guys. Now we're doing this live, raw. The audio may go out for like 2 seconds. Refs Productions, shout out, baby. Refs Productions. All right, so now I got one more piece of news to tell you guys about. The change initiative sessions are still taking place. As we are talking during this interview, I am going to then pull up the next date for the change initiative sessions to tell you. It will be this Thursday. The church that it's going to be at and the location is what's very important. So I'm going to get that for you guys. But please take part in the change initiative sessions. If you have any ability to get out and take part in the process, you should be doing so. So please come out and hear what the mayor, police officials, and other residents feel about policing in progress in the city of Aurora. And with that, that's all the news. We need like a musical thing to take us out right. All right, now we're going to get into our interview with our friend, State Representative of the 83rd District, Barbara Hernandez.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back. All right. So this is your second interview with us. Mm-hmm. The very first, which we really appreciate, were our early days when we were streaming on our desktop.
That was back when it was hot outside.
Yes, it was.
Now that it is.
The studio had no air conditioning, so your commitment to the community was shown that day. Like, it was hot, super hot that day. But thank you, and thanks for coming back on the show.
No, thank you for having me.
So we're going to start the interview off basically how we started off the last one, to get to know you as an individual, talk about your journey, and then also the current initiatives you got going on, and then what's happening in the future.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, some people may not have tuned into that last one or know a little bit about you. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and where you're from?
Of course. So my name is Barbara Hernandez. I'm the state representative of the 83rd District. I was born and raised in the east side of Aurora. So I went to all East Aurora School District schools. So I went to Dietrich, Waldo Middle School, and then East Aurora. Graduated in 2010. Went after that, I stayed in the city here to go to college. Went to Wabansi Community College for those 2 years, transferred to Aurora University, graduated with my bachelor's in political science and minor in Spanish. And I'm still in Aurora University right now as I'm getting my master's in public administration. Thank
Wonderful,
you.
wonderful.
So I
Always
stay
learning.
local, yes. And that's what I love to do, is learn as much as I can for a lot of different aspects. And I think this is why this position is so amazing also, because you're not an expert in just politics. There's just so many things that you need to be focused on. But I digressed a little bit. But yeah, so I stayed here locally. Got to know a lot of people. I was mentored by Linda Chapalavia, who was my predecessor. She was the state representative for 18 years here, and I was just working with her for pretty much 8 years. And in 2016, I ran for county board. Won. I was the youngest elected county board member. Still am in a way, because I'm the youngest still there. But I was 24 at that time when I ran, and I got that position. So I've been involved in politics for several years. The reason why I got involved was because of my family. My family was undocumented for 21 years. So growing up, knowing the struggles, emotional, the sometimes physical, also just issues that we would have and my family would have, either by them getting sick and not knowing what's going on. What we can do, and me as a citizen here, it was a little bit different, because I wish I could help my parents in some way, but I couldn't, unfortunately. And not until I was 21 and I was able to petition for their residency. And that's how now they're residents, and my mom is a resident. My dad just became a citizen this year. So he was able to vote for me for the first time.
Oh, that's
nice.
great. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
What were some of the struggles you mentioned? Because I know we've talked to other guests who were undocumented. Documented. What were some of the struggles your parents had to face, or challenges?
Well, I think one of the first ones was leaving their country. They left Mexico. My mom was 6 months pregnant with me. They knew the goal was to get here to Aurora, to start a new life for them. And the emotional struggles were huge for my mom. My mom didn't get to see her family for those 21 years. So it was always on the phone. During that time, there was no FaceTime, no Zoom calls, nothing. So you really couldn't see your family at all. You can only write letters or talk through the phone, and that's it. With my dad, it was a little bit of a different story. His family, at least my grandparents and a few uncles and aunts, were able to come over every maybe 5 years, and when I was growing up. But overall, I would see my mom sometimes crying because she missed her family and she couldn't see them at all. And then in 2011, unfortunately, I think the other struggle was my grandfather passed away. So when my grandfather passed away, my whole family really couldn't go see him in Mexico, and I had to be the break the news to my dad and say, hey, your dad passed away, I'm sorry, you can't go.
Wow.
So that's still the hardest part.
Yes.
To see.
Yeah, especially as we're talking too, like about the whole Day of the Dead, Dia de los
Yes.
Muertos, and celebrating those lives. One of the big things is, again, just kind of bringing that closure during
Of
those
course,
times,
yeah.
again, to someone that meant so much to you.
So back in 2014, when everything was settled legally, we were able to go as a family for the first time to Mexico. So by then, we were able to just go to the gravesite and just pay our respects to my grandfather. But it's completely different. It is something that a lot of families are going through, especially in Aurora, as we have the large population of Latinos. So it is hard, and I think we're around the same area where a lot of families see themselves in me. I see myself in them.
Right.
Because of what we're going through, and it's not easy. A lot of people think it is, and it's not.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on it a little bit. Growing up, what impact did your dad have on your life?
Oh, well, my dad, it was a lot of discipline.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot of discipline. He taught, yeah.
Who's that dad?
Yes, of course.
Cool dad.
Well, my mom was a cool mom, but my dad was disciplined. He was really strict. There was homework, like school homework, and then I had dad homework.
Okay,
So my
describe
dad,
that. What was dad homework like?
he would do other math problems. He would tell, like, sit me down and like let's read out loud,
Yeah.
and he would be like, "What is this word?" And if I didn't know it, it was the end of my world. But I mean, I honestly learned a lot from him as well. I learned a lot, and the discipline that I now have, and how hardworking I am, is because of him.
Because
he works until this day. He works 2 jobs still.
really.
Yeah, he works 2 jobs, and one in the factory, one in here at O'Reilly's on Lake Street.
Okay.
So he's still working, but all my life I've known him to work more than 2 jobs just so he can sustain the family.
Yeah. Do you think if he would ever go to one job, or like what's he going to be like when he retires? Is he going to be that guy that still keeps going?
Yes, he just had a week off vacation last week, and he was a pain. He wanted to. He's like, he doesn't know how to relax, and I think that's also what I have now. I can relax for maybe one day, but after that, I need to do something.
He's going to be going,
can't,
moving,
yes.
doing. Like
Yeah,
that.
so he was trying to do a lot of house fixtures and so on, and so he doesn't sit down and relax. He wants to keep moving.
Okay. Yeah. And one more thing. Why did they choose Aurora when they came here? You said that they were coming here to Aurora. Why Aurora?
They had family friends here.
Okay.
Yeah, they said my dad came in 1989 for the first time to take a look and see what areas they wanted to live in and so on. They found Aurora, that it was a family friend that they knew, and they just settled here. And they came on Memorial Day, actually.
Really?
Memorial Day of 1992, not knowing that Memorial, what it was, or that it was going to shut down.
Everybody's
Yes.
closed.
Yeah, they didn't know that.
Oh, that's great.
Very cool. So, being a young person, but also being politically minded, you know, being aware of the issues that are going on, what was it like, you know, coming up and becoming the person that you are? Were there people and friends and peers that you had at that time, once upon a time, who just didn't see the vision, like, oh, why would you want to do that? Why, you know, what was that like?
It was hard. I think as a Latina, as a woman, and young, it plays a big part of why people might doubt you.
Right.
I know I got involved in politics really early on when I was 14, either by registering people to vote or just getting involved in volunteering in the community. But when I first wanted to run for office, I actually ran when I was 19 for precinct committeeman, but that was a small position. That was a landslide. Nobody really ran against me or anything. But when I was 21, I ran for Aurora Township trustee. I lost by like 6 to 10 votes, so it wasn't a lot.
Wow.
But for that race alone, I had people older than me that have been preaching, you know, I want to support the young individuals. I want to help, and they're the future of our country. But that same individuals would tell me, why are you running? Why are you running for this? You're going to lose. And I was like, what? And I just couldn't believe it. And then there was times that and this is where it gets a little bit a different route completely, was a few individuals, especially men, this were men telling me, like, you know, they're like, why don't you go for a beauty contest?
Oh.
Why a beauty pageant? You probably will win that. That's another thing that they would say. And I was pretty upset to hear that, of course. I used that as a motivation to keep on going. If I wasn't going to win, I at least knew I wanted to be the runner-up. And in the township, there's I think there was 3 or 4 seats during that time. So I was the next one over. That if I would have got the enough votes, I would have got the position. There were actually 9 candidates, so I wasn't like the last one. I was just the runner-up.
Oh, wow.
Wow, 6 to 10 votes.
Yeah, that's a great, I mean, again, we've seen in so many races where every vote really does count.
Yes.
Especially some of these local ones where it's, you know, it's not so much you might not have the support, you just need the representation, the people getting out there.
Exactly.
And making those.
And that's what I tell a lot of people, that every vote does count, because I lived it. I lived it. And there's a lot of more candidates, local candidates, who recently in the primary in March of 2020, they have seen that they lost by 6 or 7 votes. So, and it's frustrating
Yes,
because
yes.
then as a candidate, you think about it. What happens if I would have knocked on another door? Would I
Right.
got those 8 votes that I needed? Or would would it make a difference?
It's almost better if it is that landslide, because then you just know there's no question about it. But when
Exactly.
it's really close like that, it's like, what if this? What if that? What else
If I
could
would
have
have
done?
lost by 6 to 10 votes, I would have got on the phone and called like, look, did you vote? Let me see. Did you? Did you vote? If you didn't, out of the friends book.
Where's your sticker? I need
Yeah,
to see your
seriously. I need
sticker.
sticker check. That's interesting, and I'm glad that you took that or those negative words and dismissive tone as motivation, because I think there's a lot of people who they start off strong with their idea, and they need reinforcement.
They do.
Even if people can't dig it, like, just, you know what? Keep it up. And I'm glad, because how many dreams probably been killed because other people like just didn't see it and they just gave it up. So, looking at it now, especially in the time that we live, I see the importance more now than I did when I was younger. About you have to have people at the local level who get it and who are trying to make change and the positive and the right kind of changes. Who were the people around when you were voting? Like, who was president when you were a precinct committeeman?
It was Obama. Yeah,
Okay.
it was Obama. So I think in 2012 I was able to vote for my the president for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that was a exciting moment. I got to go to McCormick Place and see him also
Oh,
on
very
election
cool.
night.
What was that like?
Well, it was magical. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, just to see the president and his family, and then the vice president there, was so surreal. Because I think you see them so many times on TV that you're like, oh, they actually exist. They're actually here. But yeah, it was a tiring day too, because we were there from I think 4 o'clock, and nothing was official until midnight.
Right.
So the President Obama didn't show up till like maybe midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning to say his few words. But yeah,
Wow.
it was a great night, and I do have pictures, and it's something I'm never gonna forget.
What is or what has been so far the legislation that you've been part of, that you're really proud of? You done something with education, is that correct? I don't want to massacre the bill or the acronym. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I did a seal by literacy. It was to expand the eligibility for students. The seal by literacy is pretty much just a seal that they put in your GPA, your resume, I guess, or transcripts. There we go, your transcripts, to show that you are fluent in either different languages, or if you're able to get college credits. So that's pretty much what it is. Before, it was just by doing a test and that was it, but now it's a different test. It could be ACT, it could be the APs, it could be the SAT, and different areas as well. So we were able to expand that to different students and be able to get that that education funding for them in a way for their college.
And what year? When did that happen? What year?
2019.
2019. Okay.
Yeah, so I was able to pass 3 bills in 2019, and this year, unfortunately because of COVID, we haven't been able to do much of the bills that we wanted to do. And back in May of this year, it sounds weird to say that because I feel like May was a long time ago.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, like we're still in 2020. But in May, we were able to pass the COVID relief bills, the emergency bills that we needed to get to for the whole residents of Illinois. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Very cool. What were the other 2 bills?
The other one was to maintain the fire hydrants and bridges corrosion, so prevent that from happening, because sometimes if they are getting corroded, unfortunately the paint will go into the waterways, and then that's what we're going to be drinking. So to keep it more maintained and be able to stop the corrosion from happening as soon as possible, and just repaint it and so on, so we don't drink those chemicals. And the other bill was to eliminate one of the mandates for food stamps or SNAP benefits. There was a lot of mandates and blocking people from getting job training. only 1% of the people were actually getting job training. Everybody else was waiting. So we were able to remove that mandate, and now it gives up people an opportunity to get more job training.
Increases all that.
Interesting. All right. Now let's get into the real. I found that when you do that, it builds up the suspense. Like, oh, snap! What, you got some papers? I want to talk about. So you've got a lot of endorsements.
I do.
And very good key endorsements. One that I really was impressed with is from the IPADD, the Illinois Parents with Developmental Disabilities Association. You got a recent rating from them of 100%.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and reading about the institution was very, its beginnings and everything like that was really impressive. Can you tell us about some other ratings and endorsements that you've recently got?
Yeah, so I got a 100% on environment. What the ratings usually mean is if you vote a certain way on the bills, people in their organizations track all those bills, and then if you do vote for all of their bills or environmental, like for example, the Sierra Club, they can see all the environmental bills, and if you support all of them, then you get 100%. If you don't, if you're against environment, then you're going to get an F rating, or you're going to get a 50% or so on. So it gives people an idea of what how that representative represents their district, but also what they support. So for me, I got 100% on the environment, 100% on social programming and so on, and also on social work information that people are asking for. But those are like really crucial to the community, and it's something that I'm happy to support. I'm happy to continue supporting, hopefully in the next couple of the next 2 years of the representative's position. But
That's what, yeah. It's kind of like saying you can go out there and campaign that you're for the environment, or you're for these
Exactly.
different items, issues, agendas, but then what does your voting record stand
Right.
for? So
And
it holds you accountable.
Exactly.
You brought receipts. What? Now, Aunt Martha's mask giveaway. That was most recently. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was able to get to know the executive director of Aunt Martha's through a friend, and they were willing to give us a close to 1,000 masks that we could give out to people. So we had an event right in front of the Hesed House, and we were just passing it on to people, because now we need to wear masks, and I actually have mine right over here. So we always have to carry these now, and we have to make sure we protect ourselves and protect others. So that is why we're trying to give free masks, reusable masks, because a lot of people are not using sometimes the proper mask. If we could, we would wear N95, but because those are sometimes not accessible, we try to get something that is cotton and being able to just cover our nose and face overall. But it was a great event. Yeah.
And your office has masks.
We do
as well.
Yes, we do have a few census masks. I know census is unfortunately done with just a week ago, but we do have free masks that people can call our office, and we can do a little bit of a few orders. I think maybe we can do 10 or 20 now.
Okay.
We have a few extra, and it says Latinos from Chicago, or some that Latinos from Aurora, and other ones that are just some blue, make yourself count.
Okay. It's like the standard, reusable mask.
Yes.
It's not like there's like an insert or anything like that for it. So you can just turn that census one right around.
Exactly,
Okay.
and it's a white background drop, so it's fine.
Anything works.
Yeah, the census was abruptly.
It was.
What the? Does that happen typically? What's the story behind that? That was weird.
I wish I would have paid attention in 2010. I was in high school during that time, so I was not thinking about the census overall.
Right.
But it was honestly, it was playing with a lot of emotions of people, and especially the census workers. It was from it's gonna end in August. It's gonna end in October. The original date was October 31st
Yes.
Right, yeah,
of this year. But then, and apparently in the beginning of October, they were going to just wait till October 31st. But then the Supreme Court ruled a different way, made a different decision, and now it was October 15th.
Right.
So it's unfortunate to see that. I think a lot of people in the city of Aurora were able to try and get as many people as possible counted. Hopefully we do. Hopefully we will see our increase of numbers in funding.
Right.
But that's why it was important. We were pushing to do the census because of funding. All that funding will go to schools, go to different programmings, and it could be bad if we lose that funding for our community.
Right. Kind of like what we were talking about with the election. There's so many people that do things last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's always going to be, well, what would have happened if we would have had that extra 15 days, or who would have come forward, or how many people would have,
Exactly.
participated in that.
It's a humdinger.
Mm.
It's a humdinger, boy. It's a humdinger. In Domestic Violence Awareness Month that we're in, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well, your office has regular access to resources and information
Mm-hmm.
for women in regards to health, in regards to domestic violence. You've done work with Mutual Ground a lot, and a lot of volunteership and donations and things like that. How can the residents access your resources? Do you have a Facebook and Instagram and all that?
I do. I have pretty much all social media if possible. People can look me up at Barbara Hernandez or Rep Barbara Hernandez on Facebook. They can also give us a call at 630-270-1848. They can email me at repbarbarahernandez@gmail.com. That's my personal email, so I'm the one that responds to those emails. But we can help with several things. We don't have a specific topic, honestly. We do help with state agencies, so IDS claims with unemployment, SNAP benefits, FOID cards, and different things. So we will do our best to find those solutions for the problem. But I know there's some that are a little bit difficult than others, but we will try our best to find something or a resource.
Now, do you have an email list or like a blast, or what's the best way to get like the latest news? Because I know you were doing a lot of publicity and announcements, like with the small business grants and the PPP loans and all that stuff. What's the best way that people can stay in touch with your updates?
Well, they can email me at repbarbarahernandez@gmail.com, and then I can submit them into a list, either a small business list, a nonprofit list, or just the regular newsletters where I post a lot of different activities that are coming on, different events that we're hosting, or just overall news of what's going on in the community as well.
Great.
What exactly is the definition? What's the job description of a state representative? What is
Yeah, I use different definitions, honestly. A lot of people are not aware what a state representative is. So the easiest way is I make laws for the state. So I drive down to Springfield from January to May, and I just vote on laws, and that's what we do. But when I'm here, we don't do laws, of course, but we, at least my office and I, we try our best to help people and get to know constituents in different areas, or nonprofits, small businesses. So I do go to door to door. Not even campaign season, and I still do that. With COVID, it's a little bit different now. I try to make phone calls and ask people if there's anything I can do to help, if there's any resources. I send mailers out to people's homes to tell them about the rent relief that we had, the mortgage relief, and different programs overall, or just the session events that I happen and what bills I voted on. So that's usually what we do. But overall, the state representative represents a specific area in that state. Here, and it's mine, Illinois, and we are able to make laws. So if I'm always open to hearing people's ideas for laws. I know the time frame is coming soon, so around December to I think February. If people are interested in a different law, if they want to pitch in their law, they can email me, and I would love to sit down and talk to them, or Zoom calls, and just discuss and see if that is a potential law that we can do.
Any law?
Any law, yeah.
Any law?
Any law that is at least that is not in the federal government, that we can't do federal government.
State law.
Yes, state laws, yes. But, if it's something that I think overall we saw there was a problem with the IDS issues, and people were getting penalized from years of issues. And now we made a bill that would resolve that during the pandemics. That's what we're going to call it. Any pandemic that people can waive that complaint or that penalize, to be able to allow them to get those IDS claims and their unemployment money, because now people were not getting that money. So that's an idea that came through a problem that we saw, and now we're putting it on paper, and hopefully it will become a law. And if we have future pandemics, now the people will be able to get that money, even if they were penalized through either overpayment or anything else.
Okay.
The time is 9:14 a.m. and you're listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we are sitting down with friend of the show, State Representative of the 83rd District, Barbara Hernandez. What's Springfield like?
I love Springfield. That was my second home growing up, honestly. It's a small town. It's empty, honestly. When the state representatives and senators are not there, it's empty. But when everybody's there, I think that's our biggest economic boost, is having everybody present and having my colleagues there. It's beautiful, honestly. It is beautiful. The Capitol, it's gorgeous. I always like to when I'm walking in, just stand there underneath the dome and just look up and see all the wonderful colors, and know that a few years ago when I was 15, 16, I did a speech there to fight for social programming, social services, and then all of a sudden now I'm walking through those halls, but as a state representative.
That's awesome.
It's a different feeling.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Feeling.
What advice would you give to kids now, or anybody really, but who want to get involved? Say, you know what, I see her story. I love, just the difference that she's made. How do I get involved and start that process?
I would say volunteering. That's how I got in. Volunteering in any way possible and anything makes those connections, those networks. You get to meet people and get to see what they're doing, and in some way, everybody's related to politics, at least in the city of Aurora. So you can go to Mutual Grad and help out. You can go to World Relief and help out, and different organizations. But you will always meet someone that is related in politics, and they can help you out. That's how I got in, once again.
And they get to know you and your strengths and what you're passionate about as well.
Yeah, they say all politics is local.
It is.
So there you have it. So Aurora, what are some of the significant changes that you've seen take place in the city from when you were young to now?
There's a lot of changes. I think we're sitting in one of the biggest changes. This used to be the library. This used to be the kids section. So this is where I grew up, in this little floor. And now to see how it changed completely, part of me is a little sad because I wanted to see but it's also beautiful. It's really beautiful to see just the change overall. But even the buildings, when I was walking downtown a few years ago, Wickwood was empty. It was empty. It was always empty since I was born, to my knowledge at least. But to see it all of a sudden come into this beautiful building that has so much potential, and it's bringing life back. It's amazing to see, and I think that's happening throughout the whole downtown area. There's a lot more people.
A lot more
coming in
energy, a
and
lot more
yes.
investment into downtown. Yeah, we had Dave Weaver, Radio Man 911, here on the show last week, and he came into the building and he saw this. Like, this used to be the kids' library. He just had to take like a little moment, kind of like how you were talking about going with the dome. He did that over there.
Yeah.
He's like, wait a minute, this is the library.
Yeah, and it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
It is a lot of memories, a lot of history with it.
All right. I think I got you. I think I asked you last time, and I did get an answer from you, but that was before people could see you. I'm an out-of-towner.
Okay.
I just got here to Aurora.
Oh.
Where you sending me for food? I want to eat someplace good. Where's a good place to eat?
Yeah, I was gonna say you're asking the wrong question to a foodie. I would send you to different places. Just have a lunch spot.
Yeah.
So possibly Taqueria El Tío for like
For lunch?
lunch.
Okay.
For a cup of coffee and Dear Old Treadwell, of course.
All right.
For dessert, a scone and Kaya Lily Tea House.
LaSalle.
Yes.
And whatever that is.
Benton? Yeah, Benton.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah.
That's one of our best kept secrets.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
Myron
right
makes,
across from Durango.
Myron makes the best just soups and dishes and sandwiches.
They got soup in there
And,
too?
and they
Yeah,
have
they
tea.
do.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Let me write that down. Kyla Lily's Tea House.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, that mural that's on the side of that wall, that kind of old school downtown Aurora grocery feel, that's a really nice mural.
Yeah.
For those that know what we're talking about, that is, again, LaSalle and like Benton.
Yeah.
Really nice mural on the side, across from Durango, Kyla Lily's Tea House. Yeah, gotta go in there. Gotta go in there.
You gotta wear a fancy hat too.
Yeah. Off-beat thrift. So that's for lunch. Where's a good dinner spot?
Oh. No, I love burgers. I love burgers. So Gillerson's, I would say.
Okay,
Yeah.
for the burger. All right, very good, very good. We had a guest on the show who told us that COVID-19 has produced some positivity in terms of folks doing new things, right? Having to make do, get by, and be creative. What's the biggest change that this pandemic has had in the life of you, a state representative?
Where do I begin? Well, during that time frame, I was actually in quarantine twice through this whole thing because campaign season was from January all the way to March. In March of actually that same day that election day happened, in the evening after everything was done, I found out, one of my interns were exposed. So of course we all had to take precautions. So right after the campaign, I was in quarantine for 2 weeks. And then when I had to go to Springfield again, I had to quarantine when I got back because I was around a lot of people, a lot of my colleagues. So as a precaution, we had to take that. But so those were the hardest parts, just to quarantine and not knowing if you were going to become positive from it. But one of the silver linings of it was spending time with my family. I was able to spend time with my family a lot more than I usually do because of everything was shut down. So I had to stay at home. I had to do everything remote, Zoom calls, and so on. I started baking again. I wanted to be a pastry chef when I was in high school.
Really? Okay.
Before choosing politics. So, and because of politics, I wasn't able to bake anymore. I was just too busy. But I was able to take that hobby back on, and I was baking with my brother, making breads and making cookies and making everything we could. But it was different. It has been different. And now even when I talk to people and people ask me like, oh, how's a daily schedule for you? And I'm like, well, is it pre-COVID or during COVID? Which one do you want to hear? But it is a little bit different. But of course, I think we're seeing that a lot of people are getting closer to family as well, as I am.
All right.
Yeah, I'm taking that step back.
One of the last questions I had for you was, tell us about AID, the Association for Individual Development. What do they do?
So they have different programs. They have behavioral services as well. They help individuals with disabilities.
Okay.
to try and either find jobs for them, teach them, get their GED, get their different degrees that they might want. But overall, it's just a service that it can provide those resources, those opportunities for them. As we've seen, there's a lot of people who don't get those opportunities, and they just get sucked into the system and they just stay in the system. But with AID, they try their best to use everybody's potential and to create something new, to use that potential and give them a job, give them an opportunity to live their own life.
You had mentioned that due to the pandemic, everything kind of went to a standstill. What are some of the things you want to gain back the momentum on? What are the things that you want to continue on with the good works that you're doing and move forward?
Well, I'm hoping I can present my bills in the upcoming months. I had a few bills. I have maybe 10 bills that I wanted to present this year, and unfortunately I couldn't. And it ranged from a tax exemption for breast pumps. It went to drop the Metra tickets for 50% for students that were going to college. So if a student here in Aurora wanted to commute to Chicago for school, usually they would have to pay $200 and something for a monthly ticket.
And the same as a full-time employee.
And a lot of students would tell me, I didn't go to school sometimes because I couldn't afford that ticket. So that price would be cut to 50%, so $100 and something, which I know it's not. It's still alive. But it's something that we can do at least.
So they don't even have a student rate? It's just a regular monthly pass rate?
Just a monthly pass.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's something that I want to change. And
Metra,
of course. But that's another thing. Like as much as I want to pass that bill, the logistics of it is, and the reality of it is that because of COVID, Metro has lost millions of dollars already. So, and I was hoping they would have paid the expense, yes, but unfortunately, I don't know how.
Well, we're not getting anything, so.
Exactly.
One of the things that I think is good for people to see in this interview and when talking to you is that everybody who can take part should take part to get involved. You work across the aisle, as they say, in politics. You work with your caucus and then the Republican side, as much as possible. Do a lot of people know that about politics, behind that you guys do work in tandem?
No, I don't.
People don't think that.
No, people don't see that either. That's another issue. I've had an event just recently here for the blood drive, and it was with a Republican and another Democrat. But we try to join in different events and also in policy. But people don't see that, and I don't think a lot of people like to talk about it sometimes. I'm always an open person, so for me, I don't have anything to hide. So yes, when people are asking me, do you talk to Republicans? Yes, I do talk to a few Republicans. I think overall what we're seeing with the federal government has put a bad image on many of them. Rightly so, for the certain things that they say. But there are some good Republicans that have been really understanding. They have helped not only me in different bills, and it's all about compromise. It's pretty much trying to find a middle ground for some bills. And I know for other bills we will never get, we will never agree on, but that is fine. But we will try our best to work for the middle ground for we can help people. And those are the relationships that we have. But of course, there are some colleagues of mine that are a little bit extremist, and it's more conservative. And those are unfortunately the people that sometimes you can't really talk to because they're not going to listen to you. They're not really going to take your input in consideration. But the tax exemption for breast pumps is actually one of my bills that has had bipartisan support, and Republicans have signed on as co-sponsors. So that is why I was so excited to see that bill move on, because I feel like now that I have both Democrats and Republicans supporting it, it wouldn't be as bad to move on. Other bills, I would have to fight a little bit more.
Right with it. What one word would your colleagues, how would they describe you in one word?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say kind.
Kind. And what about the community members?
hardworking, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a hard worker.
And you're
visible. That might be the next point.
And how would your family describe you?
Oh, as their girl.
Their girl.
Their star girl. Yeah. We were just having this conversation yesterday with my parents.
Really?
And my dad was, we were watching the trial of Chicago 7.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
new Netflix movie, and we were just talking about it, and my dad was pointing it out. I was like, I argued with Daley because my dad was politically active in some way.
Richard
but,
Daley?
Yeah, it was Richard Daley, the
Wow.
mayor. Yeah, he was poking fights. He even poked a fight with my predecessor when I was younger, and I remembered seeing that. And I'm like, Dad, you always pick fights with everybody, and even with the state representative. And I'm your daughter. So, yeah.
You could never give him dad homework because that would not go over.
No, not at all.
Interesting. What do you got coming up? What's on the calendar?
Let me bring my So we have next Monday. Yeah, I think it's next Monday, October 26th. We will have a senior food giveaway that people can register. We ask people to register, and they can call us at our 630-270-1848. And those are going to be free meals for seniors that we're going to be able to give to them. And it's going to be like a drive-through area, so nobody has to really get out of their car or anything. Right now, we're still doing a mutual ground feminine hygiene drive.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to donate, there's an Amazon list. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they're not doing used items, and they're trying to do a little bit more of a precaution. So now it's an Amazon list. People at the mutual ground made a list, and you guys can just purchase items from there. Another thing that I have next week on October 28th is a social justice committee. We're going to talk about crime and the trauma of crime that brings into the community. And on the 22nd of this week, we will have, I think it is the 22nd. I have so many events right now. There will be an End Money Cash Bond event where we will talk about ending cash bond for people that are getting incarcerated. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think there's a few other events, but they can always access my event calendar on Facebook or on the website as well.
Everything that's going on. That's great.
The Social Justice Committee meeting is going to be virtual?
It will be virtual,
Okay,
yes.
on the 28th.
And the link is going to be there as well on the invitation, so people can just register and get the Zoom information.
Is there a limit, or is it?
No, there's no limit.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Sky's the limit. What? There's no limits. No limit. All right. What did we forget? We talked about a lot in this interview. We did. We went a lot of places. November 3rd is coming up.
Yes, 2 weeks.
2
from
weeks.
tomorrow.
That's
2 weeks
right.
from tomorrow.
That's right. Coming up so quickly. How do you feel in anticipation of it?
I'm excited. I'm excited for it to be over. I think it's been a year. It's been a year overall, not only with COVID, but a campaign season. I think a lot of people don't realize that campaigning is really, really exhausting. I'm not complaining about it. I love what I do, but emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically, it could be a lot. During the times from January till March, I was walking 8 to 10 hours a day in the cold, and it was nonstop. It was just nonstop of walking and knocking on people's doors. Sometimes you will get people that were really nice, and others that were really mean, and they just shut that door.
There is no climate change.
Yeah, pretty much. That is what I would get. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's hard because you might be knocking on 20, 30 doors, and then that one person that was mean to you, you will remember that for the rest of the day, and it will just ruin your day in a way. And then when you do get someone that is really nice and says like, oh, do you want a granola bar? I'm like, yes. You will always remember that person.
Right.
And you will always remember that, that was, that you are doing something good. Because sometimes you do doubt yourself because of the emotional strain. And all you get to see is houses. So for those 3-4 months, I was just seeing houses and houses and nothing else. I had to give up my not that I have a social life as much, but the little bit of social life that I did have, I had to pretty much quit.
Yeah.
On that, and it was a lot to take in. And whenever I went to, as soon as I got home from walking, it was probably 7-8 o'clock, and I had to do homework right after that. So that's another toll. I was always doing something, and I also had to manage still the state office, because not only when I'm campaigning, I still have to, respond to my constituents if there's any issues. So I had meetings, I had events, I would still go to Springfield. So it was just a lot of things going on.
A lot of plate juggling there.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your hard work.
Thank
We appreciate
you.
you doing your thing for the community. So I have to go back and check, but I think you might have been the first candidate corner, and now this is the 7th.
Ooh.
So if this is like this, we appreciate this. I got to go back and check. I think that you might have been the very first one, and it's important to get people, to get our officials on, talk to them, hear what they got coming up and everything like that. I think that's as important as voting, because people have to be able to put the name with the face, but also see the side that comes with the politics, the human side.
Exactly.
One thing that impresses me is that when I see people out at everyday stuff, not just when ABC News comes to cover it, like certain people only come out when Channel 7 is there. Oh, we're here kissing babies. You got to be there.
Yeah, even when the cameras are not seeing, and even when Facebook is not seeing. There's a lot of things, and this is me personally. There's some things I have, of course, I need to present on Facebook, and others that I just don't, because I'm there not as, of course, I'll always be there as a state representative, but for me, it's not, let me show people that I'm here so they know I'm here. I think what's better for me is if you both know that I'm there, that's what I want you guys to take from that, I don't want it to be like, oh, she posted on Facebook that she's here.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
She checked in, but she really wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly. It was there for like a second, then I left.
That's something that's happening a lot. I'm not really
yeah.
digging that. You see people doing that, taking selfies while they're doing charitable works. Like, come on, man. Like, you don't have to. The one that went viral, the guy's giving McDonald's to the homeless dude. He's filming the whole thing.
Okay.
It's like, just give it to him. Like, where's your heart?
Yeah, there's no need for you to record that.
Yeah. Keep it real all the time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
As you know, the show ends on a positive note. What is your message for the people of Aurora starting off the week on Monday? It's kind of rainy outside. We need a good message. We need a positive message.
Well, I'm going to say change will be coming, hopefully, in different perspectives. Either federally, locally, change will be coming. But I hope people do decide to start their morning with registering to vote if they're not registered, to going out to vote if they're haven't voted yet. They have 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks in a way, if you want to do early voting. You can still mail your ballot, request a ballot as soon as possible if you can. Tell someone that they should vote, but that's important right there, and that's a great way to start your week, because you'll know you did something to help the community. Or you can either volunteer. There's a lot of positions right there right now that need people. Food pantries that need individuals, especially now with the winter coming. It's going to be hard for them and the individuals that they're helping. So please consider volunteering, participating in an organization. I think that's the greatest way, and also personally is thank everybody around you that have been able to help you in some way, especially during COVID. I think that's something we keep forgetting, is to thank people.
Right.
It's been it's been really difficult, and we've just been able to focus on ourselves and just take what we can.
Good point.
What we need, but we never stop and say, you know what, thank you for that day that you helped me and I was crying, or I had a hard time, and or I gave you a hard time, and I'm sorry.
You just listen to me.
Just yeah, you just have to say thank you.
Right. That's a great way.
What a message. What a message. What a message. In that spirit, I want to say thank you to Rep. Hernandez for coming back on our show. Again, it really means a lot to us at this point in time, what we're trying to do for the community here on this show, and what we're trying to do in regards to the news and just a positive message on this show. We appreciate the time that she takes to come speak to us and have an interview with us. Vote. Get out there and vote. Get active in the community if you possibly can. And I want to say thank you to all of the people who let me rant over a beer chilling before Good Morning Aurora started. All the people who let me just yell and scream and just be a nutcase on your couch while your wife's looking like, when's Curtis going home? You know who that is out there. You know who that is. So thank you to everybody who allows us to continue doing what we do. We really appreciate it. I want to give shout out to Refs Productions. I want to give a shout out to all of our friends out there. Thank you very much for all the help that you guys have given us along the way as well. Viso Arts, Hunter, everybody. So with that being said, on behalf of the second largest city's first daily news podcast, we appreciate Rep. Hernandez for coming out to our interview today and joining us. Please tune in tomorrow for another great show, and we've got a lot of other positive, beautiful things coming. Stay blessed, stay dedicated, stay motivated, and stay